Micah Harrari has been making biblical-style harps since 1984, when he made a harp for his wife Shoshana's birthday. He made the kind of harps and lyres that were mentioned in the Bible. One day a rabbi visited and asked to see their harps. With tears in his eyes, he asked if they realized the significance of what he was making. The rabbi said there were prophecies that said when the harps were being made in Israel again, the Messiah would soon come. Harrari Harps are thought to be the first Jewish harp makers back in Israel since Bible times. In 1995, I bought one of their 22-string harps. Each string corresponds with one of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Words can actually be spelled with the strings of the harp, making melodies transcribed in the heavenlies. On August 15th, 2021, a wildfire spread throughout the forest north of Jerusalem and burned down over 6,000 acres of forest and property. Among the loss was the harp workshop and the naturopathic clinic of the Harraris. Everything was burned to the ground. They lost their livelihood, jobs for their workers, tools, aging exotic woods that were curing, over 25 harps in the making, everything. They had no insurance because no insurance company would insure them living so close to the forest. However, there was a miracle. The fire stopped within 2 meters of their front door, which had a sign in the window, "Protected by Angels." Their lives, home, and the personal harp of Shoshana were saved. Praise the Lord. I wanted to help, so I asked them if I could have some of the ashes from the fire to make a painting for them as a fundraiser. Shoshana sent me the ashes, and I went to work. Now this, I know that this is just water and it won't stick to it when it's dry. I don't think. This is so weird. Huh, it's really black. Mm-hmm. Like charcoal.
I'll show it to the camera.
Okay, that's what that looks like. Today is September 24th, 2021, and I am beginning my painting for the House of Harrari Harps, Harrari Harps in Israel. And so I'm using Blick Premier Stretch Canvas Gallery Profile, 1.5-inch heavy-duty frame, 10-ounce 100% natural cotton duck, hand splined. Their Premier canvas. It's an 18 by 24, and we'll just get started here. Now later I am going to add the ashes from the area around their harp shop in the paint, but I want to get a foundation on it first. So these are the very first strokes I'm making with the painting. And it's just kind of putting a foundation on here to give it something to stick to. I'm mixing paint with gesso. And this will all change as I go along. I have an idea of what I want to do, but I am completely doing this by ear, so to speak, by brush, or what do you want to call it, because I'm still not sure where this is going to go. I've been praying and asking the Holy Spirit to help me, because I want it. There's been a lot of pressure to do this, only by me. Nobody else cares, but just me. It was my idea to do it anyway, so nobody asked me to do it. So thank God there's no pressure in that regard. But I just want to do a really good job. So, as you apply more layers, the paint starts working better, I think. Normally I would listen to music, but since there's so many copyright issues with music, unless I play my own, I'm just not using background music right now. I like using canvas that wraps around the sides. That way you don't have to put a frame on it unless you just want to. So I always paint the sides as well. After I get a layer or two on here, the paint goes on a little smoother. Right now it's really rough. Man, it's rough. But I've mixed it with gesso, so that'll help. I'm not painting happy little clouds. I'm just putting a layer on here to have something for the paint to stick to. And it just helps me to get started somewhere. Man, I can't believe how rough that surface is. This will work well though, because I'm going to be painting a very rough tree, and the texture might actually help me. All of this is really from my imagination, although I did look at a lot of pictures of fires in Israel, especially in the district where the Harraris live. I understand it's a hilly area north of Jerusalem. So this is mainly my own interpretation of it. And we'll just go from there. What is today? Today is September 29th, 2021. And I'm going to attempt to draw using a twig over in the property of Harrari Harps in Israel. They live north of Jerusalem, so I've never done this before. So this is an actual twig, as you can see, from the house of Harrari, Harrari Harps, where they had their fire, and I'm going to draw a tree. Ha ha. Trying to anyway. Oh, it works. Wow. This is amazing. Huh. It actually works. Now, let's see. This is just like heaven. It's going to be a very fat one. This is amazing. Now, this didn't get, it only got burnt on the outside, so some of the charcoal is not really showing. Let's see. This actually works. This is amazing. So that's what it looks like with a little bit of chicken scratches that I've drawn, and my hands are getting pretty dirty. So this, believe it or not, this gives me enough idea of where to place the tree, and it helps me to visualize mostly where I'm going to put the stuff. So this is just a really, really rough sketch, as you probably can tell. And we'll just kind of go from there. All right, I think I'm done with the twigs. I'm going to just do the rest in paint. But these are my twigs that I got out. So that's that for that. And I'm talking to myself because there's nobody here. Okay, I've mixed my ashes only with Liquitex slow blending fluid blender medium, slow dry blending fluid medium, and matte fluid medium from Liquitex. So I noticed that some of my ashes that I had mixed a couple days ago were starting to mold, and I had mixed them with water. So I'm not going to use any water with my paint, with the off chance that the ashes and water somehow could start it to mold. Hopefully it will not mold if I only use the Liquitex mediums. So I usually use water when I'm painting. Well, there's water in my paintbrush, but that's how I clean my paints, my brushes. So that would be an exception, I guess. So I'm going to try to paint with this is just a mixture of ashes and medium, and I don't know how long it's going to last before it dries out, because this is acrylics. I mean, the medium is acrylics. So I've never done this before, so this should be quite interesting. So I'm going to start painting. And my greatest concern is that I just don't want it to mold. So, anywho, it is an organic substance. So, we'll see. I've got to find the right paintbrush here. Okay, what paintbrush do I want? Well, I guess I'll use this. Now, I am going to wet it with water, because you're supposed to wet your brush first before you dip it in the paint. I'm getting most of the water off now. So I'm going to dip it now in these ashes. And it's still really thick. So I'm going to add more slow dry blending fluid. And I hope that does the job. I'm going to put it over here on my palette. First I'm just going to put it directly in here. It may take a lot. Here's my first application of ashes paint on my canvas. So this is kind of scary. Wow. It is like a pure black. Wow, this just amazes me. It seems to be transparent. So that's interesting. Well, I can use that to my advantage. This is just a base coat. Right now I'm painting roots because of the significance of the tree and its roots. A lot of times, the tree up above may look like it's dead, but if it has a strong root system, it can come back to life with the proper environment. So I wanted to paint roots in this painting because of the significance of having strong roots in our life. We can go through the fire, we can go through many, many hard times, we can go through sickness and whatever, but if our roots are strong, it'll keep us alive. And we want our roots to be digging down deep into the presence of God. I don't know if these ashes will flake off or not, but they are. The binder is acrylic medium from Liquitex. The matte fluid medium is what it mostly is made up of. And I've got some slow dry fluid medium to make it runnier, but it's still really thick. And this is just ashes, no paint in it, just ashes. And it's a really black. So I'm learning right along with you. Maybe you know more about it than I do. I don't know. Depends on who's watching this. But this paint is, when you think where it came from, this came from the ashes from the wildfire that went throughout the northern part of Jerusalem on August 15th. And these are from the property of the Harrari Harps. They've been making harps for the last 40 years, and their harp shop went up in flames. They lost everything. Didn't even have a screwdriver left. They only had one harp left, which was still in their house, because that was the personal harp of Shoshana Harari. So that is the only one that survived. They had over 25 to possibly 30 harps that they were working on in their harp shop at the time of the fire. And they lost all of those custom-made harps. They're, beautiful harps. Some of them might have been for the Temple Institute. But, whatever, custom orders and stuff, and that all went down in flames. Now there's a lot of grit from these ashes, but that'll just add to the texture of it, I guess. I suppose I could have ground it down some more, but I kind of like the idea of the texture of it. So here we are. This is just ashes going on here. Painting requires a pigment, and from those pigments we get the colors, various colors, but it won't stay on the canvas or whatever you're painting on, whether it's paper or wood or canvas or some kind of panel. It won't stay on it unless it has some kind of a gluish kind of a binder to it. And Liquitex came up with a Palmer kind of binder back in the 1950s. They're the first ones that made acrylic paint. And so they developed the acrylic paints back in the 1950s, and they made them originally as a house paint alternative instead of using oils. Okie dokie. I've added more medium, and I'm going to add some more because it is still really, really thick. Okay, I'm going to add some slow dry blending fluid. It's also a retarder. Well, same thing. So it won't dry up so fast. Normally, to make the paint thinner, I would just add water. But I don't want to take the chance that this might mold. So I am using nothing but the medium. It is still thick. My goodness, this is thick. I don't know if you can see it. But it ought to stay on there. The medium is a binder. It binds your paint to the surface so it doesn't flake off. Because acrylic paint is water-based, a lot of artists thin it with a lot of water, and if you thin it too much with water, it'll break up the chemical makeup of it and it won't stick as well to the canvas. So it's good to use medium anyway. Boy, I want to use water on this, but I don't want to take the chance. Oh well. Oh boy. Well, I'm going to dip my brush in water because it's getting really dry. Paints have different opacities. So I'm finding out that this is very transparent. This is getting so thick I cannot work with it very well. So I'm going to go to plan B, and I'm going to cover this up and I hope it doesn't dry out. See, acrylic paints dry really fast, so it's always a race to paint when you do acrylics. Today I'm getting ready to varnish my painting that I'm making for Harrari Harps in Israel. And it's a very special painting to me. The way I prepare it is to put information on the back of the canvas. I used a permanent marker to put information on the back of it. And now I put these little cups here, and I'm going to do the last cup to show you what I did. And that way I'll keep it up off the surface of the table. I protected my table with a large piece of cardboard from a TV that we bought. It was just a very large piece of cardboard, and I thought I'd be able to use it to protect the table. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking some masking tape to make it double-sided by bending it over and make a little ring out of it. And then I'm putting it on the bottom of these little plastic things. And then I'm putting them like that and sticking it on there. I've already done it over here. The other cups, plastic cups, are very dry, so don't worry about paint getting on the painting. Okay, now that lifts it up off the table so that if any drips come around, I can clean them underneath. So I've got these, that's to raise it up off the table. I'm going to use Liquitex gloss varnish. It's a permanent varnish, and that will be the first layer that I put on my painting. You want this permanent so that it will protect the painting. Now later you can put a removable varnish on the top layers so that if it needs cleaned at any time, they can, if somebody knows what they're doing, hopefully, they can use a removable varnish and clean it, but that probably wouldn't be for many, many years. So anyway, so that's what this is. So now, I'm going to get my little handy-dandy brush. Never shake your varnish because it can create air bubbles, which are really difficult to get out of a finish. So you just take it. Oh, this is brand new. Okay, so I got to take the cover off, so might as well wait. Okay. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Oh, that was easy. Okay. I might as well just go ahead and pour it. Now, I'm going to try to be smart and wipe off the rim of this bottle. You know, artists can save themselves a lot of time if they'll clean off the rim of their paint bottles and their varnish bottles and stuff like that, so it doesn't create a glue, and then the next time you want to open it, it's all glued on there. So that should help it a lot. Okay, so I'll put that over there. All right. So now, let's put a little bit on the very bottom. Okay, and still drippy. Okay, so I'm going to start over here. Do it once and back and forth, and then get some more. Shake it off, do it again. Overlap a little bit. Now I'm going back over this while it's still wet. I know you're not supposed to do this. Okay, now we're going to go do it again. Go the same direction. Overlap a little bit. Now that's got a puddle right there. And I'm going to come back over it because I'm dripping already. Okay. I'm coming in a little bit from the edge so it doesn't drip all over the place. But then when I come back again, I go right to the edge. And I have to go back over this again because it's kind of thick. Okay, sometimes it's hard to see where you're at. I am going back the second time to kind of get those okay, I'm right here at the end. Okay. Okay, now I go around the edges. And hopefully it'll level itself out. Better do it on this side too. Top. And the bottom. Try not to go back over your area too much because it's not a good thing to do. Okay. All right. Now, if I miss some areas, don't be tempted to go back and go over it because it starts to dry right away. And if you go back over it while it's half dry, it'll create streaks, which are really difficult to fix. And that's it for one layer. And the next layer, I'll go this way. But the first layer, I went this way. Okay? And that's it for this little thing. Now I gotta wait for it to dry, wait at least 3 hours, read the label on your varnish, and read what it says about drying in between coats. You sure don't want to put it on when it's tacky. Wait till it's dry. That's it. I spray painted the craft paper on the back with distilled water, and I didn't think I put that much on there. It's more like a mist, but I'm seeing puddles of water here a little bit. And then I went over it with a slightly damp sponge. And there you can see a little bit more of the moisture. And when it dries, it will be tight as a drum, hopefully. So this is what it looks like at the moment while it's drying. Okay, this is an hour and a half later. You can see that after the paper has dried, it has shrunk a little bit, making it tight to the canvas, and it is tighter than a drum. And I will tap it so you can hear the sound. Isn't that something? Wow. This is so cool. So I just wanted to share this with you, that it really does work when you spray the back of the paper. And I got the paper from Amazon. It comes in a roll, and it's called craft paper. I will make an image of what it looks like on Amazon so you can tell what the product is called technically. And we'll go from there. So anyway, it worked. Isn't that amazing? I could play a tune on here. So anyway, that's it. I'm showing you the back of the painting I did. I call it L'chaim, which means to life. And I started the idea of the painting at the first part of September. And I started making little drawings and looking up pictures on the internet of forest fires, ashes, all kinds of things in my research, and trying to figure out how to paint with ashes as well. So I received the actual ashes from Harrari Harps on September 20th, 2021, and began to grind it up and experiment with it and make preliminary drawings. The actual painting was started around September 24th, September 25th. Today is November 15th, 2021, the day I finally finished this painting. I'm dedicating it to Micah and Shoshana Harrari, who are pioneers in bringing the biblical style harp back into Israel since Bible times. So they're very significant harp makers. They make excellent harps, and all the harps are based on their information on what harps were like in Bible times, specifically, during the Davidic period. So in those days, the biblical harps were smaller, and you could actually hold them on your lap. Or they also made them small because they would take the harps and lyres into battle, so they couldn't carry a big old concert harp like we have today. They would play their harps, and they put the musicians at the head of the battle, and they would worship the Lord as the soldiers are coming behind them, and they would unfortunately be the first targets in a war. But it confused the enemy, and they won their battles because they were worshiping the Lord and sending the musicians forth to worship the Lord and let God fight their battles for them. So, we should do that too. We should always put God first and worship Him and let God be God instead of trying to do things all by ourselves. If you look real close, you can see the roots of the tree. They form the Hebrew letters of L'chaim. So there's lots of hidden things in here that are actually in plain sight, but you may not notice them right away. There's lots of spiritual symbolism in this painting, but I'm talking more about the technical part of this painting right now. All those little bumps are ashes from the harp shop that I mixed into the paint. I tried to do it mostly in the dark areas, but it's also in the ground around it. So if you look real close, and it kind of looks sparkly with the varnish on there. If you're actually here looking at it in person, the little sparkly things almost look like the color gold, but in here they look white. But I just thought that was cool. So the bumpy things are the ashes from the actual harp shop that burned down to the ground on August 15th, 2021. And I'm making this painting to dedicate to them, and hopefully we can sell prints from it that will help to raise money so that they can rebuild their harp shop. And that's the plan. And if you would like to donate towards the House of Harrari to get their harp shop back, they had no insurance, and so I thought I would kind of help them out because I've got one of their harps and I just love it. So this is the national bird of Israel. It's called a hoopoe, I think. And here's a deer drinking water from the brook. And it reminds me of the song, "As the deer pants for the water, so my soul pants after you," or longs after you. I don't know if I got the right words or not. Here's L'chaim and my signature. And this is the national flower of Israel, the little pink flowers. And if you look real close, you might see a little porcupine. He's sniffing the flowers. And you can see the rest of his body around to the side. He's looking up there. Here's one of the harps. Actually, it's a lyre. And if you look over here, where is it? There's 3 doves, and they almost look like angels. And Shoshana said that the fire burned down the harp making shop as well as her health clinic. But the fire stopped with just a few feet of their house, and in her window she had a sign that says protected by angels. So, I mean, you can call these doves or you can call them angels, whatever you want. But they're in there. And here's a Neville harp, the kind I have right here. And this is a lyre right here. Lyres are U-shaped instruments with a bar across the top. And they're, held up against your heart. And so are the harps. You can hold it up against your heart, and it's very, very healing. Here's another lyre over here in the trees. So that's my painting I did for them. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you'd like to help the Harraris, go to nancycupp.com, then go to shop, and then pick out L'chaim and order. And let me see what else. Oh, when you make your order, mention that you saw this video and I will give you an extra surprise gift along with your print. So have a wonderful day. God loves you and God bless you. Bye-bye.